My name is Olivia Harrison, and I'm 37 years old. 20 years ago, my parents called me a disgrace and threw me out like trash when I was just 17 and pregnant. Today, they stood in the marble lobby of Springfield Memorial Hospital, demanding to meet their grandson, the chief of cardiac surgery they'd seen on the news. My mother clutched her Hermes Birkin like it was armor, while my father checked his Patek Philippe, both dressed to impress the son of the daughter they'd erased. But they had no idea what was waiting for them, in the will of the woman who saved me when they wouldn't. Before we begin, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story truly resonates with you. I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Here's what happened when karma finally came to collect. Let me take you back to that October night in 2004. Stood in my parents' living room, the one with imported Italian marble floors and a chandelier that costs more than most people's cars, holding a positive pregnancy test in my trembling hand. "You're lying," my mother said first, her voice sharp as winter ice. No daughter of mine would be so common. But the second test confirmed it. And the third. My father didn't yell. That would have been beneath him. Instead, he walked to my room with measured, deliberate steps and came back with my suitcase, the one they'd bought for my supposed college tours. He set it by the front door with clinical precision. "You have 10 minutes, he said, adjusting his Yale class ring. "Take what fits. Leave your house keys on the table." "Dad, please," I started, my voice cracking. "You're not our daughter anymore." He flipped the family portrait on the mantel face down, the one where we all wore matching white shirts and fake smiles. "Our daughter wouldn't spread her legs for some boy and destroy everything we've built." My mother stood by the grandfather clock, examining her manicure. "Don't call us. Don't come back. We'll tell everyone you're studying abroad." Owen, the boy who'd promised me forever, had already been accepted to Stanford. His parents had lawyers. His future mattered more than mine, or our babies. He blocked my number the day I told him. Minutes. That's all the time they gave me to pack up. 17 years of being their daughter. Grabbed some clothes, my grandmother's necklace they'd forgotten about, and the $227 from my jewelry box. The lock clicked behind me like a judge's gavel. Final. Irreversible. That night, I slept in Riverside Park, under the old gazebo where Owen first kissed me. 3 nights later, I woke to someone gently shaking my shoulder. Not a cop. Not a creep. A woman in her 70s, wearing a cashmere coat and genuine concern. "Child, you're going to freeze to death out here." Elena Rossi had been walking her ancient poodle at dawn, a routine she'd kept since her husband died. She saw me curled on that park bench, my suitcase as a pillow, and something in her broke, or maybe something in her healed. "I'm fine," I lied. Through chattering teeth, I said, "I'm fine." "No, you're not." She studied my face, then my belly. Even at barely 2 months, she could tell how far along I was. When I started crying, really crying, not the silent tears I'd rationed for 3 days. She sat right there on that cold bench and held me like I mattered. "Come," she said finally. "Pierre and I need company for breakfast." Her car smelled like lavender and leather. The heated seats felt like heaven. She drove us to Westside, to a house that sprawled across a lot the size of a small park. 8 bedrooms, for 1 widow and 1 geriatric poodle. "I lost my daughter," she said simply, leading me inside. "A car accident. 5 years ago. She was pregnant too." The room she showed me looked as if it had been waiting, not for me specifically, but for someone. A Pottery Barn crib sat assembled in the corner. The closet held maternity clothes, tags still on. "This is yours now," she said. "No questions, no conditions. Everyone deserves a second chance." "Why?" I whispered. She touched a photo on the dresser, a young woman with Elena's eyes and smile. Because Sophia would have wanted me to. That night, I slept in a bed for the first time in 72 hours. Pierre curled up at my feet like a guardian. Elena didn't just give me shelter. She gave me a future. While my parents told their country club friends I was studying in Switzerland, I was learning to breathe again, in a nursery decorated with stars. Seagar arrived during a February blizzard, screaming and perfect. Elena held my hand through 18 hours of labor, whispering strength when I had none left. Cut the cord when I asked her to. She was the first to hold him after me. He's brilliant, she declared, though he was only minutes old. I can see it in his eyes. She wasn't wrong. Seagar walked at 9 months, read at 3, and tested into gifted programs before kindergarten. While I took night classes for my GED, then community college courses online, he absorbed knowledge the way other kids absorbed cartoons. Elena owned 3 restaurants, Rossi's downtown, the bistro on 5th, and the cafe near the university. She started me as a hostess, then taught me inventory, scheduling, profit margins. You're not just working here, she said. You're learning to run an empire. When Seagar was 7, he performed surgery on his teddy bear, using actual sutures he'd practiced from YouTube videos. At 10, he was reading my anatomy textbooks. At 16, Harvard Medical School accepted him for early admission. That same year, Lance Mitchell walked into Rossi's. He was updating Elena's will. She'd insisted on adding new provisions every year since taking us in. Tall, steady, with kind eyes and terrible jokes, he made me laugh for the first time in years. Your son's remarkable, he said over coffee that turned into dinner. His grandmother deserves the credit. I wasn't talking about Elena, he smiled, though he mentioned something interesting about her will. Something about protecting the family you choose. Even then, Elena was planning ahead. Everything changed when the Springfield Gazette ran the headline, 20-year-old surgeon becomes youngest department chief in state history. Seagar's photo covered half the front page. My son, in surgical scrubs, standing before the cardiac wing he'd already revolutionized. The article mentioned his full name, Dr. Seagar Harrison, MD, PhD, my maiden name, the name my parents thought they'd buried. Within hours, the story went viral. Prodigy doctor saves 3 lives in 1 day. Gen Z surgeon revolutionizes. Heart surgery. The real-life Doogie Howser. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost didn't check the voicemail. Olivia. My mother's voice. After 2 decades of silence, we need to discuss our grandson. Our grandson? Not your son? Not Seagar. Our grandson. Like he was property they'd suddenly remembered they'd misplaced. Then came the email, sent to my restaurant's public address. Professional. Cold. Dear Olivia, we hope this message finds you well. Recent news has come to our attention regarding Seagar's remarkable achievements. As his grandparents, we feel it's time to reconnect. They even signed it from their corporate email, Harrison Industries, the company they'd protected by discarding me. Lance found me crying in my office, not from sadness, but from rage. They want him now that he's successful, I said. 20 years of nothing, and now they want to claim him. What do you want to do? He asked. Make them disappear. Again. He pulled me close. We can do that. But first, let me check something in Elena's papers. She mentioned provisions for this exact situation. That night, Seagar worked a 16-hour shift, saving 2 lives. He had no idea his grandparents even existed, let alone that they were circling like vultures, who'd just spotted gold. They started small. A reservation. At Rossi's under a fake name, sitting in my section, watching me work. I recognized my mother's emerald ring before I saw her face. She'd aged poorly, Botox fighting a losing battle with bitterness. Good evening. I'm Olivia. Allie, she said softly. We know who you are. My father set down his menu like a verdict. We need to discuss Seagar. You need to leave. They didn't. Instead, packages started arriving at the hospital. A Rolex Submariner for Seagar, a Mont Blanc pen set, a first edition Grey's Anatomy worth thousands, each one signed, Your loving grandparents. Seagar brought them home, confused. Mom, someone keeps sending me expensive things. Should I be worried? Return them, I said. All of them. Lance intercepted their next move, a formal letter requesting grandparent visitation rights. He actually laughed as he read it to me. They cite established family bonds, he said. Bonds they severed with this. He pulled out a photocopy, the document they'd signed 20 years ago, relinquishing all parental rights and responsibilities. They didn't just kick you out, Olivia. They legally disowned you, and any children you might have. But they kept pushing. They hired a private investigator to follow Seagar's routine. They contacted the hospital board, introducing themselves as Dr. Harrison's grandparents, trying to get invited to fundraisers. The final straw came when my mother approached Seagar directly at a coffee shop near the hospital. You look just like your grandfather, she said, blocking his path. I'm sorry. Do I know you? I'm your grandmother, sweetheart. Your mother has kept us apart. But Seagar called me immediately. Mom, some woman claiming to be my grandmother just ambushed me. Should I call security? Yes, I said. Always. The call came at 2 a.m. because Owen always had terrible timing. Liv, it's me. Please don't hang up. 20 years and he still thought it's me would mean something. What do you want, Owen? I saw the news about Seagar. He's incredible. Our son. Now he was our son. When I was 17 and terrified, Seagar was my problem. Now that he was saving lives and making headlines, Owen suddenly remembered his DNA contribution. He doesn't know you exist, I said. Let's keep it that way. That's not fair. I was 18, Liv. My parents threatened to... To what? I cut in. Disown you? Kick you out? Make you sleep in parks while pregnant? Silence. That's what I thought. I'm divorced now, he said quietly. My startup failed. I've lost everything. His voice cracked. I just want to know him. He's my blood. Blood? I almost laughed. You blocked my number when I needed you most. Your parents contacted me, he admitted finally. The confession hung between us like a noose. They think if I'm involved, you'll be more receptive to reconciliation, he said. They're offering to help me financially, if I can convince you. I hung up. Then I called Lance. They're coordinating, I told him. My parents and Owen, they're actually planning this together. Good, he said, which surprised me. Conspiracy leaves evidence. Forward me everything. Calls, emails, texts. Elena was very specific about documentation. The next morning, Owen sent a long email about his father's rights. He CC'd my parents. At the bottom, almost hidden in the signature, was the line that confirmed everything. Consultant, Harrison Industries, Family Relations. They'd actually hired him. My parents hired the man who abandoned me, to manipulate me into letting them near Seagar. Elena had been right about everything. Family isn't blood, it's choice. And some choices, once made, can't be undone. If you've ever had to stand up against family members who only want you when you're successful, please leave a like to support others fighting for healthy boundaries. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. The next part will show you what happens when truth meets Spotlight. Where are you watching from? And what time is it there? I genuinely want to know if this story reaches others who understand that DNA doesn't equal loyalty. Now, let's see what happened when my parents decided to make their demands public. Tuesday, 3:00 p.m. Seagar was 8 hours into a complex pediatric heart surgery when my parents walked into Springfield Memorial's VIP lobby. "We're here to see our grandson, Dr. Harrison," my mother announced to the receptionist, loud enough for everyone to hear. "We're his grandparents, the Harrisons, of Harrison Industries." The receptionist didn't call Seeger. She called security. But my parents had come prepared. "This is ridiculous," my father boomed, his voice echoing off the marble walls. "We donate millions to this hospital. Our grandson is chief of surgery. We demand to see him." Visitors stopped to stare. Doctors whispered. Someone started recording on their phone. My mother, ever the performer, pulled out a handkerchief, not tissues, but an actual monogrammed handkerchief. 20 years we've been kept from him," she wailed. "We just want to meet our only grandchild." Security arrived, just as I did, Lance beside me. "Ma'am, sir," the head of security said, "Dr. Harrison is in surgery." "Then we'll wait," my father declared, planting himself on a leather bench like he owned it, which, given the Harrison Industries plaques on the walls, he probably thought he did. The head of security turned to me. "Mrs. Mitchell, how would you like us to handle this?" My mother's tears stopped instantly. "Mitchell?" she hissed. "You remarried. You gave our grandson another man's name? He never had your name," I said quietly. "You made sure of that when you signed him away." The gathering crowd murmured. My father's face turned purple. "How dare you?" The OR doors opened. Seeger emerged, still in surgical scrubs, the baby he'd just saved being wheeled to recovery. He looked at the scene. Security. Strangers with phones out. 2 well-dressed elderly people causing chaos. Then at me. "Are these the people who've been stalking me?" "Yes," I said. "Then I want them removed." He didn't even look at them. But my parents didn't leave. Instead, they called Channel 7 from the hospital parking lot. Within an hour, news vans surrounded the main entrance. My mother had changed into a St. John's suit. She'd brought costume changes for her ambush. My father stood beside her, the grieving grandfather in his Harvard tie. "We're heartbroken," my mother told reporter Jennifer Chen. 20 years ago, there was a misunderstanding. We were in shock about our teenage daughter's pregnancy. We reacted poorly, but we've been trying to reconnect, to make amends, and we're being denied access to our only grandchild. She dabbed her eyes with that same monogrammed handkerchief, careful not to smudge her makeup. "Dr. Harrison is a medical pioneer," the reporter prompted. "You must be proud." "Incredibly proud," my father said, though he'd never seen Seeger save a life, hold a patient's hand, or stay awake 30 hours to perfect a procedure. The Harrison family has always valued excellence. It's in his blood. In his blood. The blood they'd rejected when it was growing inside me. "What would you say to your daughter now?" Jennifer asked. My mother looked straight into the camera. "Olivia, sweetheart, we forgive you. We just want our family back together. Please don't punish Seeger for our mistakes." They forgive me. They forgive me. The segment aired at 6. By 7, it had 50,000 views on their Facebook page, the one my mother ran like a lifestyle blog. The comments poured in. "Family is everything. Let them see their grandson. Why so cruel, Olivia?" Lance shut his laptop. "They just made a critical error." "Going public?" I asked. "No, claiming they forgive you. That's admission of wrongdoing. And we have the documents that show exactly what they did wrong." The hospital's chief administrator called me in for a friendly chat the next morning. "Olivia, this situation is becoming complicated," Dr. Morrison said, fidgeting with his Mont Blanc pen. "The Harrisons have donated $12 million over the years. The board is concerned. Concerned about what?" I asked. "The optics," he said carefully. "Perhaps one supervised meeting would resolve everything." "Would you meet with people who threw you away like garbage?" I asked. He shifted uncomfortably. "It's not my decision to make, but Seeger's position—" "Are you threatening my son's job?" No, just considering all angles, Dr. Morrison said carefully. At Rossi's, the customers suddenly had opinions. Family is complicated, one regular told me as I refilled her wine. But forgiveness is divine. Don't you think? Even my staff whispered when they thought I couldn't hear. 20 years is a long time to hold a grudge, one said, as if being abandoned while pregnant was the same as forgetting someone's birthday. Sigurd came home exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. Mom, I had 3 surgeries delayed today because reporters kept trying to get into the O-wing. I'm sorry, baby. I'll fix this. It's not your fault. He collapsed on the couch. But maybe if we just met with them once. No, I interrupted. I could tell them to leave us alone in person, he continued. Sigurd, they signed papers stating you don't exist to them, legally. He went silent for a moment. Can I see these papers? Lance had been waiting for this moment. He pulled out the folder he'd been carrying for days, ready for when Sigurd would finally ask. This is what they signed, Lance said. The day they kicked your mother out. Sigurd read slowly, his surgeon's hands steady, despite the words that could have shaken anyone. October 15th, 2004, he read aloud. We, Robert and Margaret Harrison, hereby relinquish all parental rights and responsibilities to Olivia Harrison and any children born or unborn. His voice stayed calm, clinical, almost like he was reading a patient's chart, but his knuckles turned white. They signed this while you were pregnant with me? Yes. And this line, we acknowledge no financial, emotional, or legal obligations. They wrote that? Their lawyer did, I said quietly, and they signed it. He set the paper down carefully, the same way he handled scalpels. Tell me everything, Mom, from the beginning. So I did. The 10 minutes. The suitcase. The park bench. Owen vanishing. Everything I had protected him from for 20 years spilled out in my kitchen, while Lance held my hand. Owen Blake is my biological father? He asked. Yes, the tech entrepreneur who just declared bankruptcy. I stared at him. You knew? I'm not stupid, Mom. I can use Google. He pulled out his phone, showing me Owen's LinkedIn profile. Owen Blake, Stanford graduate. Dated Olivia Harrison in high school. He scrolled down. He's been viewing my profile weekly for 6 months. My brilliant, brilliant boy. Why didn't you say anything? Because you didn't, he replied softly. I figured when you were ready, you'd tell me. He looked at the papers again. So, Grandma Elena was your real grandmother, the only one who actually wanted you. She left me something, didn't she? In her will. That's why Lance keeps checking documents. Lance nodded. She left you everything, with conditions. Your biological grandparents can't touch a penny if they abandoned you. How much? 15 million, plus the restaurants. Sigurd laughed, actually laughed. They're fighting this hard for money they already lost. They don't know they've lost it yet, Lance said. But they're about to. They chose Bernardino's, the most pretentious restaurant in Springfield. All white tablecloths and waiters who judged your wine pronunciation. Thank you for coming, my mother said, as if she'd won something by getting me there. My father pushed a leather folder across the table before our water even arrived. Let's skip the pleasantries, he said. Inside, a contract. Harrison Industries letterhead. Corporate seal. The works. $5 million, he said. Placed in trust for Sigurd immediately. Another 5 when he joins the board. All we ask is a public reconciliation. A family photo for the announcement. You want to buy us? I asked. We want to invest in our legacy, my mother corrected, adjusting her pearls. Sigurd is a Harrison. He should benefit from that name. The name you took from me? I said quietly. We're offering to restore it. The IPO launches next month. Harrison Industries, 3 generations of excellence, tests very well with focus groups. Focus groups. They'd actually focus grouped our reconciliation. And Owen? I asked. My father's jaw tightened. Mr. Blake is a separate matter. Is he? I said. Because he told me you're paying him as a consultant. My mother's mask slipped, just for a second. That's a misunderstanding. Lance, who'd been quiet until now, leaned forward. Is it? Because we have emails suggesting otherwise. Something about a